Hi there, James Savage, equipment editor from National Club Golfer here at Rudding Park, and today I'm doing a comparison of the brand new TaylorMade GAPR Lo 2-iron and the TaylorMade P790 UDI 2-iron. Okay, so hopefully you've already seen our sort of introduction to the TaylorMade GAPR irons. We put the GAPR Low, mid and high irons together in one video just to explain everything that you need to know about these GAPR clubs, who they're aimed at and what they're trying to do. But following on from that, I wanted to sort of look at each of these clubs, the low, the mid and the high, and see, well, is there a gap in my bag that these clubs might be able to do a sort of like a better job with than the clubs that I've currently got? So starting with the GAPR Lo, I'm going to compare it with a club that I'm currently using in my bag, which is the TaylorMade P790 UDI 2-iron. So two very similar clubs, if you like. You've got similar sort of thought processes behind them. You've got some similar technologies. We've got both the sort of hollow design with the TaylorMade speed foam put in there to sort of improve that sound and feel. What other differences have we got between these clubs? Well, the UDI is a little bit sleeker, it's a little bit skinnier, the sole's a little bit thinner. In terms of the sort of thickness of the top line, there's not a lot of difference in them, but the GAPR Lo has definitely got a little bit more sort of beef on that trailing edge. So from a sort of first impressions point of view, it does look like the GAPR Lo might be a little bit easier to hit. So TaylorMade do say that the UDI 2-iron is sort of aimed more at their better players, so I should, in theory, get on better with the GAPR Lo. But just from a first impressions looks point of view, the GAPR Lo looks a little bit friendlier to hit, but the P790 just looks so much better. It looks like a proper golf club. You set that down, it just looks like a proper iron, much like their the sort of regular P790 irons. The GAPR Lo just looks a little bit different, just looks a little bit weird. Some of that's due to this black finish and some of that's just due to it's just a little bit chunkier and it's just not quite as visually appealing. But you have got adjustability on the GAPR Lo as well. You can sort of tweak the loft to a sort of a lower or a higher setting, so that's quite interesting from a fitting point of view if you really want to get it dialed in. But they're the differences between the two essentially. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the performance. How have I been testing these clubs out? Well, like I say, you've already probably seen our review of the UDI 2-iron. We tested this out here using a SkyTrack launch monitor. I've tested this out using TrackMan at the launch event, and then I've had it under the same sort of testing conditions here using the SkyTrack launch monitor, using the same balls. And I've also been out on the golf course with both. I played 9 holes at Moralton, and I didn't take the driver with me. I just took these two clubs and I hit 2 sort of like shots off every tee, because this is what I'm going to use this club for. I'm going to use it as a driver replacement on the sort of tight holes, or maybe slightly shorter holes, or holes where I feel like I can get the ball to run out a little bit more. So I hit them both to see which one was working the best. So from a numbers point of view, not a huge amount of difference between these clubs. We've got the numbers on screen there so you can see. Ball speed, very similar, sort of 130 to 135 miles an hour ball speed. Launch, I was actually getting the GAPR Lo. It was actually launching a lot lower for me, which is pretty good. I was launching it a bit higher with the P790 UDI, but I was actually getting less spin with this. So the actual end result is the sort of like higher launch, less spin, lower launch, more spin. I was actually just getting slightly better numbers overall with the P790 UDI. Just sort of like getting a little bit more carry, getting a little bit more total, just not massively. As you can see from the numbers up there, they're very, very similar, but I would say that I was slightly getting better numbers with the UDI. So, and again, when I was actually using it out on the course, which I think is probably the best thing the best way of testing it out, these numbers are very personal to me. They're very strike dependent. I could hit these clubs all day and just kind of get a whole range of different results, good and bad. Is that really telling you a lot about how these clubs can perform? Not really. Much more use for me to tell you how I got on with these out on the course. And when I was hitting these out on the course, the number of times that I hit them both off the tee, and they were literally in exactly the same place. So there was no real difference from what I could see out on the course to how these clubs perform. So which club would I put in my bag then if the performance is exactly the same? I'd go for the one that looks the best, which is quite clearly the P790 UDI. Now, TaylorMade would say that this club is aimed more at the better players. I shouldn't be using this. I should be using this club more because it's maybe got a little bit more forgiveness from that wider sole, but I haven't found that from my launch monitor testing and from my on-course testing, and that's all that I can go on. On the course testing, both working really well, but I'm just going to go for the club that looks a little bit better. It looks nicer in the address position. I'd say it feels a little bit nicer, just a sort of like a nicer sensation when I hit the ball, and that's what I'm going to go on. So I'm not going to take the P790 UDI until I'm out of my bag and replace it with the GAPR Lo. Although this club was working very well for me, if I was to lose this club or snap it or whatever, this club would be straight in the bag. This would be sort of next in line, if you like, rather than opting for a 3-wood or something like that. This is sort of waiting in the wings if this stops working or for whatever reason. So that's my verdict based on my results and on my on-course testing. Your views may differ, your testing may differ. If you've tested either of these clubs out, post in the comment below, let us know how you got on with it. I'll be very interested to hear, to see whether or not people are getting similar results to me, or whether they're getting completely different results to me, or whether you think I'm talking nonsense. Let me know in the comments below. Please subscribe while you're down there. You can add notifications to get an email added when we upload a new video, which is hopefully the sort of thing you'd want to see, testing from a mid-handicap golfer like myself. But in the meantime, thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon.